everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of Genre Equality. I'm Hidzir.
I'm Harley.
I'm Isa.
This month we don't actually have that much to talk about, but there are some really big things that popped up in January 2020, the first month of the year, which we'll be covering. Lots of cool DC stuff. Of course, CW's Arrowverse Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover just concluded with a two-parter. We'll be talking about the Harley Quinn animated series on the DC Universe app, which has been one of me and Hardy's highlights as well. Of course, the creators of Sherlock, Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss, have a new show about Dracula, a mini-series, I think. I don't think it will be continuing.
No, I don't think so.
It's a little sad though.
Yeah, which is a good show as well.
Yeah,
and for quick hits, I'll be running through a bunch of good and some not so good stuff, like Doolittle. Yeah, I know. I almost want to spend a lot of time talking about that because it's quite bad.
It's so bad.
But we should probably spend more time talking about the
good stuff. The recommended stuff.
Yeah, and of course, Isa was on location. We sent him
to Japan.
To Japan to cover the My Hero Academia Heroes Rising premiere over there.
Yeah.
It's not available yet in Singapore.
No, it'll be out in March.
It'll be out in March.
Yeah.
Okay,
I went over to Japan after that to recon also.
Oh, did you watch it as well?
No.
Okay.
He watched it already.
Well, consider this an early preview review,
Yes.
and then you guys can go watch it online or in Singapore cinemas in March. But first, let's kick it off with the latest Arrowverse crossover. I think it's been their fifth one so far.
Yes.
It's called Crisis on Infinite Earths, inspired by the iconic comic of the same name. It represents probably the largest scale crossover that the CW has ever attempted.
Anyone has ever attempted.
Yeah. I mean, more so
More
than
those,
even
yeah.
like Marvel or anything like
Yeah,
that.
because
right?
of all the many shows involved and all the other
The
characters
40, 50 years of history that they
Yeah.
tied in together.
Yeah, that's quite cool.
So the crossover actually started last month in December with the first 3 parts and recently concluded with the final 2 parts. Going just beyond the CW shows, Arrow, Supergirl, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Batwoman.
Yeah.
This 5-part event incorporates other DC movies, shows, and titles like Black Lightning, Tom Welling's Smallville,
Love it.
Tim Burton's Batman movies, the 1966 Burt Ward and Adam West Batman series, Brandon Routh's Superman Returns, which is technically the same Superman as Christopher Reeve's Superman,
yeah.
because that is a sequel.
That's his return.
Yeah, so that the Superman that Brandon Routh is playing is Christopher Reeves.
Yeah.
Right. And lots of other things.
The DCEU lah.
The DCEU with Ezra Miller's Flash cameoing, Superman Kingdom Come, featuring Kevin Conroy as that Wolf's Batman, the voice of Batman animated series, as most people would know.
Yeah.
And the even small shows like the WB's Birds of Prey series from like the early 2000s, I believe.
Yep.
They have DC Universe shows like Doom Patrol, Titans, Stargirl in it. Green Lantern, the 90s Flash TV show, which is actually a pretty regular thing that the Flash
Back in
does.
the day,
Yeah. I mean, the
No, the Flash itself does it also.
correct. Yeah, John Wesley Shipp, right?
Using the old footage to.
Correct. Yeah. But I mean, it has been a constant from the first season of Flash.
Yes.
Yeah, John Wesley Shipp. So that one is not exactly a new thing, lah.
Yeah.
We also have Lucifer in there as well.
A cameo, yeah.
Yeah, even a cameo from All New Super Friends, Our Cartoon, because there's a mention of Gleek at the end, which I said in as well. And of course, the biggest shocker of all was Ezra Miller, which is the one that they didn't reveal.
That was so good though.
Yeah. And it's insanity, and it's a lot of fan service and moving parts. So what do you think about the crossover after seeing it?
Like what you just said, right? So it feels so massive, right? But they did it in relatively tight way. Like the story had a really good flow throughout. There was this main story that you followed through the 5 episodes, and then the little side stories that the teams took, like trying to get Oliver back, and then the other teams that are doing it was clever of them to split it into smaller sections and units lah, and each of them doing independent stuff, all towards the same goal of saving the freaking multiverse lah.
This is what Infinity War did.
Yeah. So
smaller groups.
And all. Again, it was clever to do that lah, so that you didn't have too messy of not everybody had enough screen time. Everybody had enough.
There was enough fan service.
Yeah, fan service. It was a lot of fan service lah, to be fair, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Standouts to me, right, was actually like Batwoman. Like I felt that this was her best performance as
Thus
Batwoman.
Because her show
Thus
sucks.
far. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, her show like unabashedly like it's terrible.
It's
It's a
terrible.
terrible show.
So this was really a good run for Batwoman.
Because Batwoman only works with Supergirl. They have really good chemistry together.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that I enjoyed that tremendously for me, and I really just enjoyed this 5 parts. It really gave a lot of. I felt very satisfied at the end of it, lah.
Okay. I thought the crossover was fun. Lots of mind-blowing moments because a lot of cameos you didn't expect it.
Yes, exactly.
I like that they actually differentiated Titans and Doom Patrol as different universes.
Correct, yeah.
Because we actually saw Doom Patrol in Titans, but they were a different Doom Patrol, and they were trying to kind of explain why the Doom Patrol show didn't follow that dynamics.
Different Earths.
Okay lah. Like even small things like that, the Arrowverse tried to clarify, right?
Yeah.
But I also think that this particular crossover is the weakest of all the
Yes.
Arrowverse crossovers. I didn't like it lah, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
It buckles under the weight of its ambition and sometimes a lot of the emotional beats don't land. Oliver dying 3 times. I mean,
That didn't get. I didn't get that also.
I got me the first time lah.
Yeah,
And
no,
then he
yeah.
came back,
But
and he
the
died
second
again,
and then
he
the
came
third
back, and
one.
he died again. Yeah. So unnecessary. The characters we know and love aren't serviced in order to include so many other cool cameos from DC's long histories of movies and TV shows.
Okay.
I think it's an incredible collection of goosebump-inducing moments.
Yes.
Yeah, there's an abundance of them, but it doesn't cohere as a story in the same way as the previous crossovers have done, like Crisis on Earth X or Invasion or things like that. You know, the way the story jumps from plot point to plot point to plot point with no rhyme or reason, and we're just along for the ride because we know it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Has its value.
Yeah.
But this is weird. It actually reminded me, because I was watching yesterday, it reminds me of a Royal Rumble. Where I pop for surprise entrants from different promotions or long lost legends, things like that. But as a match, like a Rumble or Battle Royale never quite works on its own. It's just like a collection of cool goosebump moments. And Crisis takes a lot of narrative shortcuts to give us those fan service moments, which in the end don't matter, because Doom Patrol or Lucifer or Brandon Routh Superman or even Ezra Miller, like wouldn't it have been cool if Ezra Miller's Flash actually gave a bit of advice or push the story forward rather than, hey, cool, your costume is like,
but that's all they wanted,
fitting.
or that's all they could do. You see,
Yeah, so it's stupid. Like, don't include cameos if you have nothing for them.
Actually, there was a lot of that.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it kind of bogged down my overall enjoyment of this, as wild and as fun as it is. I love what they gave us, but I also hate how it was accomplished. So it gave me everything I wanted to see. But it was also very done in a slipshod manner, I felt.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I really had a lot of fun with this. For the 5 episodes, I really had a lot of fun. But I do agree that it is the weakest of the crossovers, lah. But apart from Oliver's multiple deaths, which you covered already.
Yeah, I mean, he came back as a Spectre,
and then later
but he sacrificed himself
to destroy the anti-monitor
and also streamline all the CW shows as
into
Earth Prime.
One Earth lah.
Earth Prime, which is what the comic did as well.
Yeah, correct. Make it easier, no?
I mean, I like the formation of the new Justice League with Black Lightning in it as well.
Yep.
I mean, that kind of stuff was cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It didn't have like the emotional moments that previous crossovers had, lah.
Because it was smaller.
Yeah.
It's more intimate.
Yeah.
You see, this was more wide spending.
Like when Victor Garber died, say in like Invasion, right? Like I had like cry
That's
moments and things like that, lah. So
Yeah.
I mean, to think that the foundational pillar of this franchise, Oliver Queen, dying, like left no impact. It's a bit sad, lah.
Yeah, sorry, the first death should have been and be done with it, and just move on from there.
Yeah.
But I guess they wanted to milk it out a bit more.
Like it worked as a shocking death. Like, oh fuck, Oliver Queen died in the first part. What are we gonna do next, lah? And then he came back immediately afterwards, which kind of negated the first death, lah.
I mean, they went, yeah.
And then subsequently, every other death, you're like, oh, I don't believe this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't like the whole Lazarus Pit and then getting his soul back. That story arc to me was unneeded, lah. But then you see, because these things exist, right? Wouldn't it be logical for those people to actually, do that mission, lah?
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't, because they've tried several times. Sarah Lance, for example, is the one who cautioned against it. The one who actually went into Lazarus Pit and came out different.
Yeah.
It was only Oliver's daughter who wanted to do it, because
she's never experienced it before,
the Lazarus Pit. Yeah.
But they know that it exists, ma. And then of all the universes, this is the last Lazarus Pit ever.
Well, they were like limiting universes.
Who was the cowboy, by the way?
Jonah Hex. He's been on Legends like several times.
I forgot.
He's a big part of some of the seasons, actually.
Yeah, I totally blanked and I was like, I know this guy, but I can't remember who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I remember
But he's not our Jonah Hex. He's a Jonah Hex from a different
universe lah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it doesn't like because he was beaten so easily by Sarah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So like our Jonah Hex, I guess it's stronger lah. So they kind of like protected to use a wrestling term our Jonah Hex.
Our Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
Yeah, but overall I still enjoyed it. I mean, if I'll rate this 5 episodes, I'll give it about 6.5.
Okay. Yeah. I'll give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still pass.
Still a bare pass.
Bare pass.
Yeah, but I mean, compared to the 7s or the 8s that his previous crossovers have been,
Yeah.
a bit disappointing lah.
Okay.
Yeah. Next up, we'll be moving on to Stephen Moffat's and Mark Gatiss' Dracula. Yes. Wow. I didn't expect to quite enjoy this as much as I did.
Same here. Yeah.
It's if you don't know, it's a new 3-part miniseries from obviously Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
It is on Netflix, right?
Yes.
And also except in Britain, which is on the BBC.
Yeah, because it's
but in the rest of the world is Netflix. So you can watch it right now if you haven't seen it. It's quite a bloody delight for the most part lah. It's very funny. It's quite witty. It's gross and scary with just the right dose of silly camp factor into it.
that camp factor.
Yeah. So it was entertaining and a smartly written twist on a classic horror story that enjoys paying homage to past iterations while also trying its best to subvert every trope it has.
Yeah.
There are, the spooky labyrinth castles and the grotesque body horror, but these are the writers of Sherlock we're talking about here. So they like to have fun with their quippy dialogue, and the many layered twists.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, Sherlock is a very twisty show. Some of the twists make sense, some of them not. And Dracula kind of echoes that as well.
Yeah.
All the strengths and weaknesses of Sherlock is here too.
Okay.
The most obvious masterstroke, I think, is the casting of unknown actor Claes Bang, who is absolutely magnificent as a titular vampire. Playing him with a diva bombast kind of thing, like a rock star. Very different from other Draculas we've seen in the past. Playing opposite him is Dolly Wells as Sister Agatha. Won't spoil who she is, but she is a bravely unflappable and jaded nun. Right, yeah.
That's
you cannot say more.
Who proves to be, I guess, a surprisingly formidable antagonist for Dracula.
Yes.
How is a nun able to defeat Dracula?
Yeah, naturally, Sister Agatha has a whopper of a secret. The Dracula and Sister Agatha dynamic is a great remix of the Moriarty and Sherlock dynamic, and it's fireworks, as is this whole show lah. So I promise, no matter how familiar you are with the source material, you'll be surprised by how Moffat and Gatiss spin familiar elements into something completely new. So I've seen Dracula's mythos deconstructed
a lot
and reconstructed, but I've never seen it reinterpreted and reconstructed in such a unique manner as this. I think it's the first time I've ever seen someone do something like this that explains Dracula's psychology and physiology in a fresh way. So what do you guys think about it?
It was an easy watch, man. I watched all 3 episodes on the flight back to Japan. From Japan.
Nice.
Yeah. And I was just entranced. The whole time I was just watching. I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. So many spoilers. So many things I want to say is all spoilers, actually.
Well, rather than like saying the details or the spoilers, maybe
but what I enjoyed
when you watched the spoilers.
What I enjoyed was just the pacing was really tight for me. I enjoyed how the acting of Dracula was like what you said, on point, right? That guy
so
was
good.
And
the foil, Sister Agatha, that is such a perfect foil for him. That one episode, episode on the ship lah. Those characters, I mean, it's like, can I just say it's a murder mystery kind of thing?
There's plenty of mystery.
So it's a murder mystery kind of thing, and how like it felt like they were playing a game lah, And I felt I was just like part of that game, and I was like, oh my god, who is the quote unquote killer lah? But I still felt the suspense. I was like, is there another killer?
No, the mystery wasn't who the killer.
Yeah, but who was in the room?
Who was in the cabin?
Yeah. So I was like, who was in the room the whole time? I was like, who was in the room?
Yeah.
That episode I felt was the best episode for me. just because they kept that suspense going throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, it was
And-
an hour worth of like.
Right? And at the climax of it all, it was a good payoff, lah.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
There, no spoilers. Not bad.
Yeah, from someone, I think you're of the member of this crew who like
Will spoil the most.
accidentally always gives away spoilers.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, are we in the spoiler section? It's like, no, this show has no spoiler section.
I know.
But it's okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
you did a good job here.
Yeah, but that for me lah was that showed the real strength of this series lah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
How about you, Isa?
Oh, I really enjoyed this, but I can see how a lot of people who aren't used to the way that I mean, it is unabashedly an inheritor of the way that Sherlock is done,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
all the strengths and all the weaknesses, Sherlock isn't for everyone, I think.
Yep.
But at the same time, like the way that they weave in certain storytelling mechanics into Sherlock makes a lot more sense than applying it to Dracula per se.
Yeah.
Right? And I do feel like, for example, my brother didn't quite like it as much as I did. I think the first episode is a bit difficult for people who aren't used to that kind of like storytelling method,
Yeah.
right? Like with the false narrator and like the hazy memories and all of that.
One of the most popular vampire narrators, Interview with the Vampire.
It's exactly like that, yeah. But like in this day and age, with the kind of like vampire stories that we have, or even the horror stories that we have, that so many of them, or a large part of them, are very straightforward, right? They're there to shock you. So the fact that the whole series kind of unveils itself as a kind of murder mystery, right? And the fantastic dynamic between Dracula and Sister Agatha is something that I don't know if a lot of people were expecting, and therefore may not necessarily have liked, because that feedback came to me from several sources.
Okay.
But on the whole, I really enjoyed it. Like, this is something that we knew going in, right? Since the guys that did Sherlock did this. Love a lot of twists and turns, which I really enjoyed. A lot of very big reveals that you kind of saw coming, but like never in the way that that it was completely revealed for.
And also some of them make sense, some don't.
Yeah,
It's very
exactly.
Sherlock that
Yeah,
way.
it's very Sherlock that way. I do feel, however, that they have projected kind of like they wanted so much to put their own spin of it, that the whole trying to step away from the mythos and the mythos of Dracula, right? Vampires in general, and trying to unpack that into a lot more like, I guess, sciencey or philosophical.
They're trying to Mindhunter it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know if that worked satisfactorily for me.
Yeah.
I
To be fair, it actually reminds me a lot of Mindhunter.
yeah. I mean,
Agatha is the detective.
The detective,
Trying to
yeah,
unpack
yeah.
what is your profile?
What is you? What is you?
Yeah, what is you?
What is you?
you know, and kind of like packing that onto her own kind of search for God, right?
Yeah.
Was interesting in the beginning, but it kind of fell short at the
At
end.
the third episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, the third episode.
First episode was really
I
strong.
do feel like definitely the second episode, so the second act was definitely the strongest and the most enjoyable out of everything. I would like to see more, but I can see how it's kind of neat within its own kind of world building, which is fine. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it for sure.
From what I heard, Moffat and Gatiss are planning to a series, not of Dracula, but
Yeah.
of classic horror characters.
That's
like
amazing.
Frankenstein, Mummy, etc. That they will try to Sherlock it up with all these different characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long do you think they can do that before we get tired of it?
I don't know. I got tired of Sherlock after 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So they have a limited.
Well, they
Spend-
just announced season 5,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes.
The value of Sherlock is that it only comes back every 3 or 4 years, so they actually have time to like think of new stories.
Yeah, which is great. But like season
And
4
to do a
was-
really good planning of what they want to, the revelations and the,
yeah, which is great. But season 4 was weak. Like
was.
Sherlock
Yeah.
season 4 was really really weak.
Yeah.
And we waited a long time for that.
Yeah, and I was so disappointed by that came out. But I mean, like Dracula seems to be a breath of fresh air. I can kind of understand how it will work for Frankenstein, but I'm not sure how you will continually use the same formula and keep reapplying it.
Yeah. Anyway, Dracula is done. I think this is the only season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I
better
hope
be lah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but still,
There is a Sherlock reference in Dracula also, like when Sister Agatha referenced her detective friend in London. Yeah, the show, I think, much like Sherlock, is kind of a case of diminishing returns. Like they throw out their best shots early and then sort of gassed badly at the end. Mixed bag final episode, probably the weakest of the bunch, which kind of diminished my overall rating.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
hence it's a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
7 out of 10. That sounds fair.
Yeah, 7 out of 10 for me too. Yeah, a lot of promise, but I think it did overreach in the end. So
Yeah, Definitely. Next up, we'll be going back to the DC universe. So much DC this month.
Yeah.
I think they're really enjoying MCU's break.
Taking full advantage of that.
Full advantage.
They better.
You know, all the headlines have been like, oh, Ezra Miller this, Harley Quinn that, Birds of Prey coming out next month, you know. So DC is having their moment in the spotlight when MCU is regrouping post Endgame. So this new animated series about Harley Quinn, I think, is of the main topics that we're all discussing.
Yeah.
Is the best show
Yeah.
that we are talking about. It's such a triumph and one of the best new comedies of the year, not just animated or genre. It's just one of the best new comedies of the year, flat out lah.
Yeah.
It's very this gloriously foul-mouthed, action-packed, blood-splattered adult cartoon that plays like a weird, irreverent mix between like Animaniacs and Deadpool. Although it's a lot smarter than Deadpool.
It is a lot smarter.
And kind of has like elements of Lego Batman obviously in it as well. So it's kind of gory. The humor is always gut busting, like literal laugh out loud kind of humor. Not just like, oh, it's clever. It's hilarious and it's this feminist show that follows Harley Quinn as she breaks free from her toxic relationship with Joker to find her own way as a supervillain. So she's helped by a sardonic best friend, Poison Ivy, and her motley new crew. So Harley is all about Harley Quinn's growth, and it's quite something to behold.
Yep.
When you identify your self-esteem and your identity so intrinsically with your ex, it's difficult to move on from the breakup, right?
Yes.
And the show does a great job of telling that story within a comical and a comic book context. Yeah. So it was actually created by these guys called Justin Halpern, Patrick Shoemaker, and Dean Laurie, who have each individually written for The Incredibles, The Boys, Watchmen, and Powerless. So postmodern deconstructionist takes on comic book characters is something like
That
they
their
do.
specialty lah.
Yeah, it's kind of a specialty. So with this R-rated Venture Brothers-esque spin on familiar
that's a good one,
characters,
Venture Brother-esque.
Harley Quinn is a comic adaptation for those of us who've grown up with comics and have had discussions about their more absurd elements. It's fucking funny, it's ballsy, it's willing to take risks for better characters. And the voice acting is exceptional. Kaylee Cuoco is really leaning hard into Harley's like very thick Brooklyn accent.
Yeah.
Alan Tudyk, who jumps from playing Mr. Nobody on Doom Patrol to Joker here, perfect. The rest of the main cast is generally stacked. Everyone from Giancarlo Esposito, who is Lex Luthor, Wanda Sykes, the Queen of Fables, Jacob Tremblay playing Damian Wayne. Especially funny because they casted a younger voice to play a very young character.
He's so hilarious.
Just to show how out of depth and lame he is. The stand-up performances I think actually belong to Lake Bell, who plays Poison Ivy, and James Domian, who does a wicked Dark Knight Rises Bane impression.
Yes.
Bane actually like kind of became sort of a standout character.
He's like the foot of the jokes like throughout the entire series.
He is like Toby in The Office.
Yes.
Yeah. If the Legion of Doom was The Office, he is Toby.
He is Toby.
Yeah.
Like everybody hates Bane.
Yeah. Or at least it doesn't take him seriously.
He's like Gary in Parks and Rec.
Who is based on Toby in The Office.
Yeah, but because everybody shits on Gary. Nobody really shits on Toby much, really.
True, they just don't think of him.
Yeah. But this is like everybody specifically has something stupid to say about Bane.
Yeah. And all his like evil villain master plans.
It's the worst.
It's just based on like petty
things that happened to him.
Like a barista who spelled his name wrong.
But then, that was funny.
Or like he lost the bet in the Super Bowl, so he decided to blow up Gotham City, which is the Dark Knight Rises. Everyone has such a clearly defined comical personality and clear arcs, even the small characters. It's played to great comedic effect and emotional effect, actually. So Harley's crew of reject supervillains has at least one amazing character-specific gag every episide.
Yeah.
There is wannabe thespian Clayface who can literally transform himself to anyone, but he's such a bad actor.
The worst actor.
You have expert hacker King Shark. Who is offended that his brains have often been forgotten because of his physique. There is Dr. Psycho, who is ostracized even from the Legion of Doom because he said the word CUNT on TV
twice,
and then he got Me Too'd and everybody distanced themselves from him. They're all a riot lah. But my favorite besides Harley herself is Poison Ivy, of the main characters who just doesn't understand why her plans to save the environment is considered super villainy. She's like, I'm just saving the environment.
Guys.
And then her unlikely relationship with Kite Man also.
That was so
very
sweet,
surprising. I've never seen. I think this is the first time a show has ever done Kite Man. Kite Man is famously from Tom King's run. Kite Man Hell yeah. Hilarious.
He just whispers his name. That was so good.
Yeah, I mean, what are your like overall thoughts on the show?
There's so many great moments in this. But honestly, I really love Damian Wayne as Robin.
One episode only, but very
that one
memorable
episode.
Yeah.
When, I mean, I guess it's the Nemesis episode lah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Harley
super villains need to have a nemesis. If not, they just won't be popular. They need a feud lah.
Yeah.
And Harley is trying to find
a feud.
with like she's aiming big for like Superman and things like that.
And like all of them don't take her seriously, which is great. You know, like Superman just like laughing at her and just like flying off, and then Damian Wayne takes over. Yeah, because I mean, for the superhero side, you know, they also want a nemesis of equal measure, lah.
Yeah, for PR purposes.
Yeah, so for Batman, you know, I mean, for Damian Wayne, it's like a good start, lah. You know,
he's
Harley
trying
Quinn,
to find someone, a bit of a gatekeeper villain that he can move up. But you know, Damian Wayne is horribly overmatched. And Harley Quinn is just insulted that the media considers
him the nemesis.
The nemesis, yeah.
And then he just leans into it, and then there's this whole like top reality show that's going on, something like Wendy, you know.
Yeah,
or
Ellen.
Or Ellen, but this is more like, because it's a black host.
Correct.
So it's more like Wendy, you know. Wendy, what's her name? I can't remember what her name. The black woman in whatever lah. Same format lah. You know, live TV. Then a bit of like that Jerry Springer kind of vibe, you know, where there's a lot of like mystery guest appears, you know, that kind of thing.
Gossip about the superheroes.
The gossips and all that stuff. So it's great. However, the heart of the show is the growth of Harley.
Yeah, the breakup specifically. Yeah,
which I felt was very well handled throughout. And you can see the difference between Harley episode 1 and Harley episode 8. You know,
but I like that she relapsed at the end.
Correct. Yeah.
Because you know, of course she would.
Of course you have to show that, you know. Yeah. And then when she relapsed, and then when what happened to her after that, then you're like, oh shit. And she also realizes it at that moment, you know.
But by that time, she had turned her back on her support structure, which are her new friends, who also abandoned her. So now she's back alone lah. And this time, she isn't just with the Joker, she has lost her friends who have helped her along the way as well. So it's a very good arc.
It was a very good arc.
Yeah.
And so sad and like satisfying by the end, you know. You can't wait for the next season now.
Can't wait for the next season 2. Probably of the DC Universe shows, the ones that have taken themselves less seriously, like Doom Patrol or Harley Quinn, have probably been the highlights. Whereas Titans has kind of just been rubbish in the second season. Swamp Thing was kind of a tale of two halves. They sort of gave up after they were cancelled.
That was sad.
So yeah,
they showed Swamp Thing in Crisis.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Swamp Thing.
That's for like 5 seconds.
He is.
But like you're just sitting there.
I know, it's like, why am I cancelled?
Why am I cancelled?
The rain pouring on his face. I would rate this 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah, 8.5. I really enjoyed this.
Very highly rated of all the shows that of the main topics this month. Is it time
for your quick hits?
It's time for quick hits.
These are shows that all of us couldn't watch except Hidzir, because you know that's his job.
My job. Yeah. I do have to clarify that some of these quick hits are from December. Because I didn't have time to talk about it in our December
podcast. Got it.
And it was already so long. I thought, maybe I'll just push a few, since some of them are still in cinemas and you still can stream them, so it's fine, right? First thing I want to talk about, obviously, is one of our favorite shows. It's an epilogue to Steven Universe, a new show called Steven Universe Future. So after ending the Diamonds' authoritarian reign, during the series' climactic Change Your Mind arc, and after growing up with a fantastic musical movie, Steven Universe enters a new era, the final era that we will get to see, as Rebecca Sugar calls it, an epilogue. As the title implies, Future jumps forward a few years and finds a teen Steven committed to rehabilitating damaged and or corrupted gems or evil gems.
That's nice.
And helping them live peacefully on Earth.
Okay.
Because, just because, they made peace at the end of Steven Universe doesn't mean like they're rehabilitated or they know how to reintegrate into society.
Oh, that's actually very clever.
Yeah. But as utopian as that sounds, like finding new purpose and moving on from trauma isn't easy. And Rebecca Sugar's Kind series has always rewarded positivity. But this epilogue kind of painfully illustrates that change is really fucking hard, and past mistakes will always come back to haunt you, and just because you want forgiveness doesn't mean you have earned forgiveness.
Okay.
So it's a kind-hearted and empathetic series that rewards understanding and open-mindedness and positivity. But as Steven matures, the show also becomes more mature. It hasn't abandoned its warm spirit, but Future is now more willing to harshly illustrate that true healing can only come when negative emotions are confronted, not repressed.
Okay.
Which is what the initial series did. You know, let's just be positive, be kind, forgive people. But negative emotions are Bella, and you can't just repress them. You have to address them. Right?
Yeah.
So you can't move on from thousands of years of slavery and trauma just by agreeing to be better. It's a start, but here's where the real work begins. And for the gems, it's about adjusting to a new life where their roles aren't defined for them. You know, certain gems have certain specific duties. Now they don't know what to do because they're freedom, they're liberated, right? It's akin to liberated slaves who are of course glad to have autonomy, but finding new purpose and defining yourself is a huge challenge without your previous structure, which you've come to know. And it's even refreshing to see some former villains being unable to change, despite Steven's best efforts to give them the benefit of the doubt. Steven has always been able to rehabilitate them, but sometimes it just doesn't work. Or other gems who can't move past their old ways. The reason how something how can something that's always been okay suddenly not be okay is some of the old villains thinking, right? You know, they've been working within the system. Like, you imagine like soldiers in Nazi Germany and stuff like that. You know, it's always been okay. That's their reason, but you know, it's not okay now.
Yeah.
How do they move past this? This shows that kind of fundamental growth isn't easy. Shouldn't come easily. With Steven, his true pain is his mother. I think his ideal picture of her is ruined. Because she discovered that Pink Diamond has committed some truly horrific things, atrocities herself, and Steven may have accepted what she did, but that wasn't enough. He can't just put her away. He has to confront it head on, and that means Steven has to get angry, which Steven doesn't get. And a lot of these episodes are spent on an angry, frustrated, almost depressed Steven. At first, he recoils from this. He doesn't want that. He's Steven. He's a kind boy, but he has to learn that his rage and disappointment is valid. You know? And he has to find a way to deal with it and process rather than repress it. At the same time, he must also learn to manage the huge responsibility he's taken on and not be overwhelmed by it. Adulthood comes with stress and compromises, and the crystal gems themselves must accept that Steven also isn't a child anymore. He's growing to a young man, which means it's not the same carefree Steven they've taken care of all these years. They also have to allow him to develop and mature. And Steven must also learn that his friends too are growing up and moving on. You know, some of them want to move out of town, some of them want to do other things, which leaves him feeling lost and directionless without the support structure he had on his show. So true enough, the show is really about adulthood and coming to terms with what it is. Future is committed to seeing this maturation journey of Steven through, and I applaud Rebecca Sugar for doing it, because she could have easily ended on the happily ever after ending. Oh, we saved everyone, the world is at peace now. But this is a very interesting look at what happens after that, which is just as important. And of course, as usual, the score and the musical numbers in the show remain spectacular. The songs are so evocative, and it does what musical is supposed to do: express complex emotions that words cannot properly express. So Steven Universe Future, as is most of the show, is a 9 out of 10 for me.
Oh, that's a high score.
Just something to chew on. Like, how do you feel about Future being the end of the franchise as we know it?
At first, I was actually resistant to Future because I thought Steven Universe had a really great ending.
So if it ended with Change Your Mind,
and maybe the movie was a nice little cherry on top. But that was unnecessary, but fun in its own right. But Future showed me what Toy Story 4 showed me. That just because I couldn't think of anywhere to go doesn't mean that there isn't anywhere to go. You know, and it found a way to be necessary and to say things that are new and also necessary. I like it. I mean, a lot of shows could have ended happily ever after, but what happens after that? You know, because it's very rarely happily ever after. How do you deal with it? You know. I think Future does a really good job of making itself feel a necessary part of the story.
That's cool.
Even after the main story has ended.
Cool.
Alright. Steven Universe Future is a 9 out of 10. But it isn't the most highly rated animated show, or even the most highly rated Cartoon Network show I'll be talking about this month. The most highly rated one, or the one I recommend the most, even more than Steven Universe Future, is season 2 of Infinity Train. Last year on this podcast, I gushed about the awesome new Cartoon Network series. And just to give you some perspective of how highly I think of it, it actually outranked Steven Universe on my best TV shows of 2019 list last year, and it outranks it again this year. And considering how much I love Steven Universe, it's hard to do. So, if you don't remember season 1 of Infinity Train, it follows a 12-year-old girl named Tulip who runs away from home to attend a video game design camp. On the way, she finds herself aboard a seemingly endless train where each carriage or each car contains a separate universe. Her quest to escape takes her through many surreal worlds as she goes through the cars, and the only way to escape each world is by solving a puzzle. But she's a coder, so she approaches problems logically and linearly, but each solution is actually emotion-based. And each puzzle helps her understand or come to terms with feelings about her sadness of her parents' divorce. So basically it's about helping. Once she understands what her emotions are, then she can leave the car. Yeah. So season 1 wrapped up Tulip's arc beautifully. It's so beautiful. No, ending and ended perfectly. So where does that leave season 2, right?
Yeah.
So creator Owen Dennis has found a rather creative solution by following new protagonists. So Tulip isn't in the show at all. First protagonist that we're introduced to is there was a car called Mirror World. Mirror World is where your reflections exist as sentient beings. So in Mirror World, Tulip encountered Mirror Tulip, who is literally a sentient manifestation of Tulip's reflection. And Mirror Tulip is resentful of Prime Tulip because she's forced to do everything Prime Tulip does, despite having a will of her own. She's forced to look and mimic a life that she can never have, right? It's a bit like the underground people from Us, you know? Because of that, she breaks free. She decides to stay on the train while Tulip Prime returns home and find her own identity. So Mirror Tulip is the main character of the new show. Mirror Tulip is obviously different from Tulip. She's harder, she's angrier, she's more impatient. Season 2 follows her journey as she befriends and I don't know how to call it, an Omega powered deer called Alan Dracula. And she comes.
What's his name again?
The deer's name is Alan Dracula.
Alright.
Yep. He can do anything lah. Like he's literally Franklin Richards lah. But it's just that he's a deer and you can't really control him.
He can do anything within the train.
Yeah, within the train, anything. He has like reality warping powers, like the max lah. The max, the most powerful thing I've ever seen on like a cartoon show. And also he comes across a new kid trapped on a train named Jesse Kosei, a 14-year-old jock from Arizona who is loud and confident and has very different demons and personality from Tulip. You know, because Tulip is more introverted and he is very brash. Extroverted, exactly, yeah. And Jesse helps Mirror Tulip run away from something called the Mirror Police, a police force from the Mirror World dedicated to hunting down rogue reflections that have left.
Supposed to,
exactly. Meanwhile, Mirror Tulip helps Jesse understand or come to terms with some deep-seated, unaddressed emotional issue within himself, as is, the point of the train. The season deals with different themes from season 1. This one's about identity, about friendship, about peer pressure. And the way they're presented is so creative and affecting. Tulip blamed herself for her parents' divorce, but Jesse, on the other hand, feels shame for bullying people or hurting people close to him because he wants to fit in. That's the peer pressure element of it lah. It's a fantastic arc that culminates with a really, really shocking ending that delves into the mythology of the train and its purpose. And most interestingly, that we find out that there are literally hundreds and thousands, if not millions of people on the train working through the issues that they are stuck lah. Some of them decide to stay on the train because they are free of responsibility. Their numbers have gone up. Basically, you have a number on your hand. So, like, let's say 64, which was Tulip has. So she has 64 different issues. And then every train you work out one, go down. But some people have ballooned up to like in the billions or trillions because they just like, let's embrace this, we lean into it. While other people are working to get out of it lah. So there's a huge community of kids on the train. Like really like rebellious kids who just like are there to have fun lah. Who actually takes Jesse away from Tulip. And tries to get him to be one of them, like why try to reform? Let's just be who you are here. This is the place that allows you. There are millions of worlds where you can enjoy and just have fun. So that is kind of the peer pressure element that Jesse has always struggled against. Really, really great show. With a great synth 80s soundtrack. It's a 9.5 out of 10 for me.
I'm watching that.
Very, very well done. And also much like Steven Universe, like 10 minutes per episode. Such a quick watch, very easy.
Alright.
Yeah, and it has less of a back catalogue than Steven Universe, so it's easy to get into, I guess, if you want to.
Yeah.
And it also ends quite tightly, so I'm assuming season 3 will be based on a new character.
I like that format. That's an interesting format to go about.
Yeah. I mean, the show's called Infinity Train, not like Tulip's journey.
Yeah.
Next up, I'll be quickly running through a few other things. This is an indie film from 2019. Didn't come to Singapore cinemas, but it is available on DVD and VOD right now. It's directed by J.D. Dillard, and it's called Sweetheart. It is a very effective, efficient, and engrossing low-budget indie creature feature that makes the most of its limited, very small budget, limited resources to deliver a blend of Castaway and Predator.
Okay.
So
Do you know what the budget is?
it's less than $1 million.
What?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
they just basically made a rubber suit and a girl on an island.
Alright.
That's it. So it stars this unknown Australian actress called Kirsty Clemens, who delivers a star-making solo performance as a young woman who doesn't just have to survive the elements after finding herself stranded on a deserted island. Catch food, build water, make shelter, etc. She must also fend off a mysterious amphibious monster that lurks beyond the shores. It's Castaway meets Predator, basically. It's very streamlined, it's very simple. Lean, mean genre exercise that's buoyed by great, amazing acting and resourceful filmmaking, and great character work and very good horror. It's 8 out of 10. A lot of it is dialogueless, very well done.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's next?
I would like to talk about a Shaun the Sheep movie.
Oh, nice.
Farmageddon.
Yeah, how did that go?
If you don't know, Shaun the Sheep is actually a spin-off of Wallace and Gromit.
Yep.
Very famous British
Claymation.
from Aardman Animations, I think.
Yes.
It is this particular movie once again is very inventive and playfully visual. It's a sequel to the 2015 Shaun the Sheep. I think I mixed up with Shaun the Dead. Shaun the Sheep feature film. It expands the scope of the original movie with a new story that extends way beyond the hedges of Mossy Bottom Farm and out of this world even, because it's about aliens. Even if it were not packed with delightful side gags like the original film, there is no dialogue in Shaun the Sheep. The inventive and delightful sequences seeded throughout Farmageddon would guarantee an appeal way beyond the junior audience. The plot, which centers on a visit from an adorable alien who looks basically like an adorable, excitable, blue tentacled puppy, contains nods to E.T., Doctor Who, 2001: A Space Odyssey, The X-Files. So there's a lot of references in its side gags and musical motifs. And it's just an absolute joy. Wonderful. It's much like the Wallace and Gromit franchise. It's never done anything wrong. Very, very fun movie. It's a 7 out of 10 and it's still playing in Golden Village and Shaw, I believe. So you can still catch it right now.
So it's still out?
Still out, 7 out of 10.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Next up, I'll be talking about another indie film. Once again, not released in Singapore, sadly. But it is now available on demand, online, or DVD or Blu-ray. It's called Tigers Are Not Afraid. This is directed by first-time Mexican director Isa Lopez, and it is a Spanish-language magic realist horror fantasy set in a border town of Mexico. It follows a group of orphan children, victims of the country's drug war and drug cartel violence. These children who live in extreme squalor are not only haunted by a supernatural entity, but they are also hunted by a sadistic cartel boss. It is a poignant and incredibly affecting film. Lopez's command of tone and mood and atmosphere is beautiful and masterful. Tigers Are Not Afraid is Charles' eye view of both supernatural and man-made evil that combines socio-political allegory with dark fantasy elements, very reminiscent of Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth, which did the same thing for War and a Charles' eye view of that. It's a scary fairy tale that is harrowing in its grim realism, but achieves incredible catharsis through the end and through the fantastical. It's a definite recommendation. It's a 7.5 out of 10.
Nice.
Next up, I'd like to talk about an anime film called Ride Your Wave.
It's about surfing.
It's about sort of.
I mean, sort of. At the beginning,
sort of. You watched it as well?
I fell asleep. I was on the plane. I watched it on the plane.
Oh, cool. Okay, so I guess if you're on a plane, you can catch it as well. What flight were you on?
A&E.
A&E, okay. So go right A&E and watch Ride Your Wave. But it's also available in Singapore cinemas. It's by this guy called Masaki Yuasa, who has kind of made a career of weirdly yet beautifully crafted anime. He's made things like Mind Game, which is very fun, or something as brutally graphic as Devilman Crybaby. So you know you're in for a ride when it comes when his name comes on the credits. At first glance, his newest feature, Ride Your Wave, may seem like his most accessible yet. It offers an emotional and eye-popping visual feast that is charming and touching and funny. It's about Hinako, a college student who loves to surf, as Hadi mentioned. We also meet Minato, a small-town firefighter trainee who is always trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
There's this adorable meet cute moment that
There
comes
is.
when Minato rescues Hinako from her burning apartment building.
How did she burn her house?
Oh man, I forgot.
Yeah.
But basically, the first act of the film pretty much serves as your standard romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Dealing with Hinako and Minato becoming a couple. But Yuasa does his own spin on it by focusing on visuals instead of dialogue.
Yep.
Through a series of vignettes, we see highlights of their relationship,
That was cute.
how their differences and mutual love for water
Yes.
brings them together. Of course, such a happy relationship in the early stage
Can't
of the
be
film
so perfect.
can only lead to tragedy, of course,
Yup.
right? It is anime after all. And after a tragic accident forces the newfound lovers apart. I won't spoil it, but I guess you know what I say when it's tragic accident.
Yeah.
The film quickly becomes a poignant exploration of grief and
Yep.
the difficulty of moving on.
Yep.
This happens just as the characters discover that by singing along to their favorite song,
They can meet each other.
they can magically be together again. As long as water is involved, though.
Yeah.
So it's a plot straight out of 90s rom-coms.
Yeah.
Like I can imagine Sandra Bullock being in this or something.
Or like Meg Ryan, you know?
Yeah, something like that. You know?
Like City of Angels. You know?
Yeah. And the film kind of embraces the cheesiness of it all.
It does.
The characters know how ridiculous this sounds, but their chemistry in the first act is so
It's really
palpable
good. Yeah.
that you can't help but sympathize with their pain
Yeah.
and want them to be together again.
Yep.
The second act becomes one of loss and pain as the color palette becomes a bit duller
Yeah.
and muddier, and the pace
Yeah.
gets slower and the music becomes more somber. So the third act of Ride Your Wave then becomes one of healing.
And moving on.
Moving on, as the story explores the main character's past and what led them to become who they are.
It's
It-
beautifully done.
It's kind of interested in what it means to truly quote unquote save someone. Not only in a physical way, but in simple acts of kindness that can impact the person in ways that you can't imagine.
Yep.
It is a predictable anime.
Predictable, yeah.
It's charming and it's heartfelt.
Got hard lah.
And with realistic and likable characters that may even teach you something about yourself. But it is very predictable.
It is.
So predictable.
Yeah.
Which is why it's a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, because I fell asleep, so yeah, I'll give it a 7 out of 10 also.
But you guessed all the plot points.
I mean, because it's predictable.
Yeah.
Like when I woke up, right, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I know what's happening. Like
Yeah.
immediately I could like catch on already.
I can fill in the blanks though.
Yeah, but it was so nice, like the way that the waves are, the water is animated. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it's just beautifully done. Like it's a really beautiful anime.
Okay. Let's quickly go through the next one, which is a reboot of Ju-On called
The
The Grudge. It's a new Grudge.
Not
Wait,
the old-
who made this?
It is by Nicholas Pesci.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Joe Pesci's
Yes, Joe Pesci. No, it's spelled differently.
Oh, okay.
Pesche.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not I.
Okay.
So The Grudge, if you remember in the mid 2000s, right?
There was a remake.
There was a Hollywood remake. This
Yeah.
is a remake of that remake.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, this can't be good.
So it's a reboot of the Ju-On mythology and of the Japanese horror franchise. It introduces new characters and new ghosts.
Oh, okay.
Korean
Korean ghost?
No. But there are some exciting elements to play with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The new movie is a bit more violent, gorier, and an R-rated version of The Grudge. It stars John Cho and Betty Gilpin from Glow. John Cho is not from Glow. John Cho is from a lot of other things. Who have really good performances. Pesci establishes multiple overlapping storylines, which make for an intriguing setup as different families are affected by a quote-unquote grudge. But his ambitious ideas can't take off due to just a really bad screenplay, just like terribly bad. In the end, it just becomes a really boring, pointless reboot full of jump scares, which is unfortunate. So look forward to another reboot in 5 years' time. This is a 2 out of 10.
Aiyo.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really expect much for a reboot of a reboot.
I know, right?
You know what I mean?
So
Unless
sad.
you change the script dramatically to... okay, never mind. Yeah, 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
that
So
makes sense.
just avoid this at all costs.
Okay, I will.
Next up, I'll be talking about Wellington Paranormal, which is back for a second season.
How did this go?
Although What We Do in the Shadows is a more direct American sequel on FX, it wasn't the first TV spin-off of Taika Waititi's horror comedy universe. That title belongs to New Zealand's Wellington Paranormal. The police procedural parody continues to follow inept officers Minogue and O'Leary as they investigate the supernatural forces plaguing the Kiwi capital, ranging from this time they got sea monsters and satanic schoolgirls and a haunted Nissan and a sentient Nokia 3210 is weird. Think Reno 911 meets the X-Files, and you kind of get why this
is-
lo-fi mockumentary is such a high laugh quota. It's nothing revolutionary, but the comedy is effective and it's a very charming low-key show of dry Kiwi humor lah. So it's a 6.5 out of 10.
I've never known what dry Kiwi humor is until Taika Waititi.
I think Taika Waititi, right? Yeah, drier than British humor, apparently. Okay, so here's the thing. I would recommend The Grudge over this next movie.
Okay, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because it will make The Grudge seem like a masterpiece. I'm talking about the latest big screen adaptation of a classic children's story. About a vet who talks to animals, and it's this whole movie called Doolittle.
Can I say that children will enjoy this tremendously?
Really?
Yeah.
You think so?
I feel that just because it's so fucking stupid.
I don't know. A lot of the kids seem very bored. I had like a couple of families walk out of like my screening.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad lah. It's
Yeah.
really bad lah.
Yeah. I mean, it stars Robert Downey Jr. And it's an absolute pile of shit.
It is lah.
Like RDJ like veers dangerously into Johnny Depp level self-parody here.
What the fuck was he doing with that accent?
And this whole movie just like splats on the screen like horse shit, with zero laughs and no charm. There's super cringeworthy. No redeeming value. Zero. There's nothing redeeming about this at all. It's a 0 out of 10 from me.
There's not, I cannot defend it. I mean, I was asleep for most of the movie, to be fair. But when I woke up, I was just, what is happening? Oh, what? The CGI animals were really badly done. The script didn't make any sense. Okay, maybe because I fell asleep lah. But did it make sense to you? Right? But you know who I thought was not bad? Antonio Banderas
Sure, yeah.
and Michael Sheen.
The Oscar-nominated actors Antonio Banderas and Michael Sheen. Antonio Banderas, if you want to watch a good Antonio Banderas movie, go watch Pain and Glory.
Yeah, please do
Spanish
that.
Movie.
Yeah.
Michael Sheen is in a ton of good shit.
Yeah.
Like he's
You don't need to watch this to get these two guys.
character actor Martin Sheen, right?
Michael Sheen. Right?
Michael Sheen, Martin Sheen, also a very good actor.
The West Wing.
West Wing, yeah.
But yeah. So those were the only two guys I thought. Cause RDJ Sunny was doing this weird accent that's Welsh apparently.
Yeah.
I googled it as Welsh.
I think the character is meant to be Welsh.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
What the fuck was that? It was so bad.
Yeah.
Like at the first 5 minutes, okay, maybe not bad. This one, you know, when they were going through like his backstory that his wife died. Last story, spoiler alert, whatever. Yeah, his wife died, and then he became this recluse, like hermit and all that. So I was like, that's quite promising. And then it just went downhill from there.
Yeah, I know, man. So sad.
Yeah,
so sad.
so
What a
sad.
waste of time.
For a returning RDJ, you know.
Post MCU and LDJ, so it doesn't
Yeah.
quite bode well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
I mean, I hope he gets a project like The Judge or something, you know.
The Judge.
He was in The Judge, right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, where he was playing. Well, RDJ actually has just one archetype that he plays, an asshole, and he does it really well.
Yep.
Yeah, so The Judge, you know, the one with Zach Galifianakis, Due Date. You know, those are like fun little things that he did on the side while waiting for Iron Man.
I guess.
Yeah, I guess he needs more of those kind of things rather than this shit, lah.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah, you're right. It doesn't bode well.
it's a paycheck. Lah.
Yeah, it is a paycheck. Yeah.
The final show I'll be talking about is Netflix's first Malaysian Mandarin language original series. It's
How did
called
this go?
The Ghost Bride. It is based on a best-selling 2013 novel of the same name. The show and the novel draw upon the Chinese superstitious practice of practicing ghost marriages, which involves a living person, quote-unquote, marrying someone deceased. The Ghost Bride centers around a young Chinese woman in 1890s colonial Malacca who is considering this kind of ghost marriage, but starts unraveling a broader mystery around her prospective husband's death. She begins to suspect that he was murdered. Yeah. So it's a kind of a murder mystery as well as a supernatural romance. This distinctive premise gives the show significant creative potential, which it uses to craft an ambitious but very rocky narrative. But the good news is that it's very well designed.
Okay.
It's the ghost world and the real world and the spiritual world. They're
Yeah.
all very well designed, and given Netflix's very deep pockets, it's not surprising that the strongest dimension is the production design.
That's good.
The costumes and the sets of 19th century Malacca look fantastic.
That's good.
On the other hand, jumping between these worlds and the different subgenres like mystery,
Not
romance,
that
and
good.
horror, can make it feel a bit messy and unwieldy at
Alright.
times. It doesn't completely hobble the series, but
Okay.
it does blunt its emotional resonance.
Uh-huh.
Overall, it is more of a Taiwanese romance soap opera than a drama or a genre show. But it is fun, low commitment, low brain energy viewing. Very soft recommend. 5.5 out of 10.
So it's a series of how many episodes?
10.
Wow, that's a lot of episodes.
I know.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. So okay, next up, finally, the new My Hero Academia movie is out. It is called Heroes Rising. It is not a prequel like the last time, or it's not a prequel. Like last movie was set in between
seasons, yeah.
This one is set far in the future.
So
at least a couple seasons down
It's far into the future from the anime.
from the anime. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's pretty. I mean, it's just after what takes place in the manga
Okay.
right now. So for manga readers, it's kind of like just kind of the next step that they're going to that. So a lot of people, especially those who can't wait for another season of anime to come out, they've basically, if you've gone on to read the manga, then this was what everybody has been kind of like looking forward to since it was announced.
So the manga ends with graduation.
The manga ends. I think right now they are in the midst of the graduation arc, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Right. So this is kind of like internship part 2. The next stage of the internship where they actually get to do. Everybody's qualified as a hero now.
Yeah.
And all of that. The thing is about this movie is that it's going to be very hard to talk about anything specific, given that it's not going to come out in Singapore for another couple of months.
And also might spoil the show.
Yes, it will spoil. The majority of what happens in the movie are all spoilers, right?
Okay, yeah.
But essentially, we are fast tracking forward to the end when the whole of 1A is kind of done with their class. They've been assigned a project whereby they have to carry out their hero duties on an isolated island outside of Japan. I mean, in Japan, but outside of where they're usually at. So they're no longer based in school.
Yeah.
Right, so they're based off an island, and the majority of the story starts there. You get to see everyone pretty much, but with obviously differing amounts of screen time.
Yeah.
Some
I
of
mean,
our
within
favorite-
1A also you have like your main guys, and then you have your sub guys, and then your guys who are just there.
Yeah. So
Like Invisible Girl.
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, like if you don't read the manga, it does feel as though this whole movie is kind of a spoiler, right? Because now like Midoriya and Bakugo and all of that like are much
more powerful.
than
I mean,
much
that's
more
not so much a spoiler
experienced.
because Deku's already said that he's the greatest hero.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
this
in the
is my
beginning,
story.
this is his story, right? So, we are very close at the beginning of the movie to Deku being as close as he can be to full power.
Okay.
Right? But he's still just trying to bridge that last couple of percent,
Okay.
you know, for his powers, and he's still trying to understand why is it that, you know, after so much work and all the experience, all the fighting that he's done, he hasn't quite hit that yet.
He hasn't reached the All Might level yet.
Yeah, he hasn't unlocked the full capabilities of that.
He's most might.
Yeah,
He's most might.
He's largely might.
Largely might.
He's largely might right
Yeah.
now.
And so there's a new villain
Stupid.
that was created specifically for the movie.
For this movie, okay.
He's called Nine, and he's basically the foil. Of course, you still have the guys from League of Villains kind of like popping up.
they're
as
still
kind of
around.
they're still around, and it's still a side story, right? Like
yeah,
that
yeah,
hasn't
yeah.
really kind of like worked itself out, whether you're talking about in the anime or in the manga
They need
itself.
to give up. They suck.
Oh,
They keep fucking up.
But they
all
also
the
have a
time.
Well-
growth arc also lah, much like Midoriya.
yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So like we'll kind of see. So Nine is basically an inheritor of, or he believes himself to be the inheritor of All for One's legacy. And he also has certain like powers that are reminiscent of what All for One can do. I won't go into details about how he gets those powers and all that, because that's a big part of the storyline that goes into that. But needless to say, once again, our shonen protagonist, and I say protagonist this time around because we do explore Midoriya's relationship with Bakugo in a much deeper level, right? The amount of shipping that has gone on since the movie has been released has been kind of insane, with good reason as well. So I'm just gonna say that the two of them and their relationship deepens
they
to
fuck.
a much
I'm just
deeper
kidding. I'm just
degree. There is a lot of tension,
Oh,
which
man.
has given birth to a lot of shipping
Okay.
between the two of them. But this movie has redeemed Bakugo in my eyes, right? Like in terms of, I've never liked him as a character.
He's
but
very linear sometimes.
yeah, I mean, like he's a straight up foil in a lot of ways, right? He's the rival character, but this is the first time that you really do see him as a rival.
Okay.
And once again, Midoriya has to make decisions to protect the people around him, as he has done consistently over the course of his career, I guess. And it's a big decision this time round that leads into perhaps one of the most amazing anime fights I've ever seen.
All right.
With some very, very bold, creative, and artistic choices.
Okay.
And at the same time, extremely, they pay a lot of tribute to a lot of great anime fights of the past.
Okay, just wondering. I mean, this is a stupid question,
Yeah.
but I'm just going to ask. They are both the same creators, right? The movie and the series.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Same studio, same everything.
Same studio, same
yeah,
everything.
same writer.
Because I was just going to say that this season of My Hero has been great.
This arc is a fan
It's
favorite.
My favorite.
The
arc
overhaul
of all time.
arc has been hyped up since the show started. Like.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I'm glad that we finally saw it. It recently wrapped up.
Yeah, recently.
yeah.
I mean, half the first half, I guess.
The overhaul.
No, overhaul's done.
Done?
No, I mean
Yeah,
overhaul, but
yeah.
I mean they're continuing, right? There's another.
Yeah, there's
the
a
next
big
arc
arc.
is
No,
starting.
but specifically the overhaul arc.
The
has
overhaul
been
arc,
like, whoa, you have to watch this.
Yeah.
blah, 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 you know.
I think they did really good job on the overhaul.
Yeah. So like well, it was a couple of weeks ago, so I don't guess it's a spoiler. That overhaul fight
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah, it was.
Right, in anime, it was great.
It was, yeah.
Times I'm gonna say 1,000. Like, it's insane how crazy the fight actually is.
Alright.
Bigger
Right.
budget, more time to storyboard,
Yeah,
etc.
and
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
it's huge. Seeing on the big screen with the surround sound and all of that is pretty mind blowing. I have to
Alright,
say.
I guess I have to
right,
watch it when
like,
it comes out.
so like the overhaul fight was really, really good. The Mob Psycho season 2 final fight was really, really
yeah.
good. This surpasses all of that.
Yeah,
in
I mean
recent history.
there are differences between TV and movies lah.
Yeah,
As much
yeah,
as
yeah.
we-
I mean, theater will always be bigger, bangier, and
yeah, and you have more time to produce it.
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
So all in all, it was extremely satisfying.
That's good.
To see this movie, right? What was even more special, I didn't. I watched this in Japan, so there were no subtitles, right? So I actually watched the first run of this with no subtitles at all. I did not struggle to understand what was going on. I mean, I have been watching anime for years. My
Yeah.
Japanese is
Sort of.
passable
Got a bit lah.
here and there. So, but even then, right, I felt like it was easy to comprehend, and that is a testament to how good the storytelling was on a visual level.
That's good.
Yeah, highly recommend. I mean, I'm a huge fan of My Hero Academia, as are all of us over here. And I may be biased, right? Just but easily 9 out of 10 for me.
Alright.
Nice,
Great.
nice. Yeah, can't wait for March when it comes to Singapore and we can watch it.
Yeah.
I think it'll probably be Encore Entertainment. You know, they always bring in the anime movies.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they recently brought in the Violet Evergarden movie as well. So
Yes.
it's probably gonna
Get
be
some
them. lah.
passes.
Actually,
I tried. I tried.
You try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We believe in you.
Yeah, and now you can watch it with subtitles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now you're like, oh, that's what I say.
So this name. Okay.
It would be hilarious if like your
My review completely changes.
yeah, it's
Oh my god, that sucks.
I take back my 9. No, but I mean, like, just on the strength of the fight scenes,
Visuals.
alone,
The visuals,
the
lah.
visuals
Alright.
alone, like,
Yeah. Yep. To the end of this episode, bringing back the pool list, we didn't have one last month. I'll be talking about a new comic book by N.K. Jemisin, who I've talked about a lot actually, because her Broken Earth trilogy of novels made history by winning the Hugo Award Best Novel 3 years in a row.
Yep.
First book in the trilogy won Best Novel. Second book next year won Best Novel. Third book won Best Novel. I've never seen any fantasy writer do this. It's never been done. She's an amazing writer.
Well, now she has.
Surprisingly though, Jemisin has made the jump from books into
comics.
with a Green Lantern spin-off called Far Sector. It follows a new lantern named Joe Mullen. I don't know how to pronounce it because I'm reading. Joe, let's call her Joe. Joe, who
Was a
is
female protagonist.
who is a former NYPD cop. Unlike the other more famous Green Lanterns, she's kind of stationed countless light years away from Earth on a strange planet where emotions have been forbidden in order to reduce crime.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've
Okay.
seen this kind of story before.
Star Trek, etc.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
The book is essentially a gritty police procedural and a crime noir that delivers on the space cop potential that Green Lantern Corps has always promised, but
never delivered that way.
delivered.
Yeah.
This is kind of like what N.K. Jemisin wants to do, is the shield or the wire in space, and you kind of get the idea.
Did it work though?
Yes, as I mentioned, it follows. She's a new recruit.
Yeah.
Called Jo. She spends her first 6 months on the job protecting this place called the City Enduring.
So there's a beat lah.
Yes, that's a beat. The City Enduring is a beat. It's a bustling sci-fi setting that is shocked to its core by a violent murder. It's first in centuries after swearing off emotions. As Jo continues her investigation, this unfeeling cosmic world, she realizes that the murder itself could threaten the stability of the entire metropolis and its billions of denizens as centuries century-old societal and political tensions begin to rise up because of this murder. First time they're feeling these emotions that honestly just been repressed for hundreds and hundreds of years. The planet is made out of 3 races of warring aliens who now live in peaceful harmony
For hundreds of years already.
millennia, basically,
Oh,
generations.
millennia, okay.
But way back, their war devastated each of their respective societies. Then this sudden spurt of violence has sparked old class divisions and tribalism, and it's come back to the forefront. Just as interesting is Jules' own personal journey, because she's not just a space cop, she is a black woman who quit the NYPD during the Black Lives Matter protests. When that was happening across America in 2016, I believe. Yeah, so
ago.
she actually left the force because of that. So she's someone who has a healthy distrust of any and all police organizations, and she's doing everything she can to fight the good fight on her own terms. So she's trying to serve and protect, but at the same time also distrustful of the Green Lantern Corps, because
She sees it as another police organization.
right, yeah. So her own personal experiences influence her policing for better and for worse. The idea of Green Lantern Corps as a space cops kind of series has always fascinated me, because that's what they are. But since its inception, nobody's ever done anything with that idea.
No.
I've only read
The story is very cosmic, very
I've read about them fighting these massive intergalactic beings and all that.
over and over again.
Over and over again lah. So this delivers the hard-boiled detective cosmic noir, which is a new thing.
Love it.
That I've always wanted the Green Lantern to be lah. So
Okay.
it delves deep into the real essence of what policing is in a melting pot society, where an understanding of race, class, and historical injustice plays a big factor in helping you understand how to keep the peace. Unlike what Daenerys did.
Fuck, but you got a shot at GOT. They came out left field,
I wasn't expecting that.
See,
But fair.
But fair, still
okay.
fair,
The entire marine out. I'm sorry. This is a 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, wow,
The
okay.
only reason I'm not rating it higher,
Higher,
is because it's only been 3 issues.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I'm liking what I've seen so far. But this
Alright.
is the potential to be one day a 10 out of 10 series lah. Once it has enough of a back catalogue, then you can go through arcs.
Like
and
Saga.
everything. Like Saga, for example lah.
Yeah.
So I mean, for now, 7.5
high
out
bar,
of 10.
bro.
Yeah. But for now, very good. Has the potential to reach even higher, because
Got it.
you're just kind of building and seeding all these things, and haven't kind of quite see it bear fruit yet lah.
So-
But definitely go read it right now. Go to your local comic shops, guys. Yep.
Support local.
Next month we actually have a pretty light schedule as well.
Yay.
But probably the most emotionally invested of any of our episodes I'll be in, because the day that you're listening to this, the 2 greatest genre comedies of all time will be ending on the same day. The Good Place and BoJack Horseman
Yep.
air their final episodes at the same time, on the same day. It's going to be very exciting / depressing.
Well,
Yeah.
thank God for streaming.
Yeah.
Thank God for streaming, yeah. So we'll be talking, of course, about Good Place and BoJack Horseman, final seasons, and Legacy. The new Birds of Prey movie, the emancipation of Harley Quinn.
So I heard that there's a embargo, right?
Yeah, but there's embargo.
I mean,
for
it's
all comic
normal
book-
lah. Yeah. But why is this one like stranger than usual?
Oh, because people want to shit on DC lah. So
Ah.
every little thing is like, oh, embargo means not
Because
good.
I know every movie has an embargo, so what's the
They're
difference?
just focusing on
yeah.
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
those
People
So
just,
there's no difference, it's just an embargo lah.
every comic book movie is embargoed because
They want to wait for the release to come out.
We
and
live
all
in a
that.
spoiler culture lah.
Yeah lah, exactly.
And comic book movies are more affected by spoilers than let's
Correct.
say your art house movies.
Yeah,
lah.
yeah,
Yeah lah.
Yeah. So there's
Uh,
nothing special about it, right? Just a
No,
normal
no.
embargo.
It's
right?
just like the usual Marvel DC tribalism that exists out there.
Tell them calm the fuck down.
Or DCEU sucks. Everything they make sucks.
I mean, not everything
Look at
sucks.
this, got embargo. But when Marvel has embargo, it's like, oh, because we are so good, we don't want to spoil it.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
It's just a matter of
It's the
point of
same
view
thing.
lah. Yeah.
Because
Guys,
Marvel has money to make a
stop this
campaign about their
tribalism.
Marvel.
Yeah.
Stop this tribalism.
Yeah.
Read Fast Actor.
Read Fast Actor. Yeah. Or watch The Expanse.
Watch The Expanse, that's also good.
Also, we'll be talking about Lock and Key, which is a new
Oh.
Netflix series based on
Looking
Joe
forward to that.
Hill's famous comic
Yeah,
book horror.
Yeah.
Joe Hill is Stephen King's son. If you don't know, he just changed his name like Nicolas Cage did to avoid any.
To avoid the shadow of his father.
Correct,
Jones.
yeah. But anyway, he still lives in it anyway. Then I'll be talking about a new movie called Bloodshot, one of our
I'm watching that.
Valiant Comics' first
I'm watching that.
big screen adaptation starring Vin Diesel. There is.
I mean, it doesn't look that good on the trailers,
No,
to be
of
honest.
course, it's not going to be good. It's a Vin Diesel movie. And then you have Underwater, which stars Kristen Stewart, which is
I'm watching
basically Alien Underwater.
I love Kristen
from what
Stewart.
it looks like.
So,
There is actually a high school drama set in Norway. Called Ragnarok, where it turns out a bunch of high school students are reincarnated
as the deities, lah.
That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that too.
Yeah, and then I've already seen this, but I'm pushing it to next month
Sure.
because I wanted to give it a bigger spotlight. And an animated show on Netflix called Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts.
Ooh, that's really good.
Very, 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 very good.
I haven't watched it.
Very, very good. I just didn't want Kipo to be like overshadowed by Infinity Train and Steven Universe this month.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna push that review.
It's definitely not going to be overshadowed by Bloodshot.
Yeah. So he has like more of a chance to like stand out next
To
month.
stand out next one. Okay, get it.
And in the poll list, I'm currently reading a guide, a survival guide, called "How to Invent Everything for the Stranded Time Traveler." So it's basically what if you're stranded in this era. This is how you build something. It's very matter of fact. There's manuals and shit. It's quite funny.
Basically, Dr. Stone.
Yeah,
How to
yeah.
Buy Dr. Stone. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Very
Dr.
cool.
Stone lah.
Very cool. Yeah. So until next time, this has been Hidzir.
I'm Hardy.
I'm Isa.
Goodbye, guys.
Thank you.